Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
This is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we vomit out a brain, because this week we watched Planet of the Ooze,
Written by Keith Temple.
directed by Graham Harper.
And aired on April 19th, 2008.
Graham Harper back again for his
Back at it again with the
directorial
ood.
thing.
To
Damn,
quote that.
Graham. Back at it with the ood again.
Back at it again with the Snow
did he
White
direct
planet.
Impossible Planet Satan Pit? And he did not. So
Did 42. I didn't remember that. But he did 42.
he also did Caves of Angiosani. Anyway, Ood. So the story begins with, well, it actually begins with this guy. Halpin, I think is his name.
Yeah, I don't remember their names.
Oh, well, sorry, no, with this other guy, Mr. Bartle.
Oh, yeah, Bartle.
Who is, he's being pitched. Okay, he's like a CEO of a company, and he's being shown this advertisement for Ood.
Which, as we learned in Impossible Planet and Satan Pit, are this sort of slave race that the humans of the future have decided to use as slave labor.
Right. And at the end of the ad, it's like, Ood, now only 50 credits. And Bartle's like, 50 credits? You're bleeding me dry here, dude. And the guy's like, market is down. We gotta lower the price to meet the demand. Bartle's like, damn. And he calls up this lady. Her name is Salona. And he tells her that when the investors arrive, I guess, to sell like mad because they need the money like really badly.
Yeah, Ood sales are down, I guess.
And then his Ood, his own personal Ood, just zaps him in the head with his translator bomb.
Yeah, because the Ood look, I think, exactly the same as they did in Impossible Planet and Satan Pit. They have the sort of translator ball, which is a glowing ball that comes out of their tentacle mouth thing. Mm-hmm. And they wear sort of black jumpsuit type things. And they look terrifying as they did before. But more so in this episode when we get some more crazy stuff going on with like the Ood anatomy.
Yeah. Where we learn what's actually going on with the Ood, because clearly that translator ball is not natural, right? They're not born with a translator ball embedded in their brain.
As far as we know.
Well, we do know. So then we get the title sequence, and then we get the Doctor and Donna. The Doctor says he put the TARDIS on randomized mode, which we saw before. Remember when he was running away from the Black Guardian after the Key to Time arc?
Yeah, well, in that he had a randomizer.
Yeah, I
This
assume
is just the randomized mode or whatever.
Yeah, but I just assumed it was like the same thing.
Yeah. What's weird in this scene is the interior of the TARDIS looks like it's sort of on a seesaw. It's going back and forth, and they're really playing it up in like a cartoonish manner. The Doctor's going like, whoa, and then it flips back the other way, and Donna's like, whoa.
Well, you can thank Graham Harper for that.
I do. I really liked it.
Yeah, okay, so I guess you are thanking Graham Harper then. And then
they get outside and they're in a frozen wasteland.
Yeah, Donna just runs outside. She's like, yay! And then she's like, it's freezing.
Okay, so what I thought was going to happen because of how they play it up, so Donna's like, anywhere. We could be anywhere in the universe. This is amazing. Anywhere. Literally any time and any place, any planet. This is going to be fantastic. And I thought they were going to go out and it was just going to be like 2008 in London. But no, it actually is like a fantastic place. You see sort of a planet and some moons in the background. It looks really cool. Looks kind of like a mid-2000s wallpaper you might have.
Like one of those really generic space wallpapers that some starving artist painted somewhere for Microsoft.
Yeah.
And Donna's like, it's freezing. So she goes back inside the TARDIS, and the Doctor's out there like looking around. He's like, wow, real snow for once. Which is
Except it's not real snow.
Well, okay. In the real world, it's not real snow. It's like bits of paper. In the story, it's real snow. And the Doctor's like, real snow, because the past like 5 times he's had snow, it's been like ash from things that have been blown up in the atmosphere.
People's bodies just explode into ash.
So, he's having a real good time with this.
What was that story? Was the story with, I think, Rose, where it was like snow, but then it was actually ash raining down?
I don't know, but it happened in Voyage of the Damned, too.
Yeah, it did. And it happened last week in the fires of
Pompeii. So he's having a real great time. And then Donna comes out in like a big coat, and the doctor's like, "Can you even hear me in that?" And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Wow, real funny, Donna. Got a real big laugh out of that, Donna."
So they find an Ood dying in the snow.
Yeah, the doctor can hear him.
Yeah.
And so they run over, and the doctor like tries to find his heart, and the doctor's like, "I don't even know if he has a heart. Where's his heart?"
Right, they try to resuscitate him somehow, and the Ood is barely alive, and it keeps saying the circle must be broken.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what that means, obviously, but then it starts attacking them. Its eyes go red, and we didn't mention that the Ood that killed Bartle at the beginning of the story also had red eyes.
Yeah, I think right before the Ood kills, or the Ood tries to kill the Doctor and Donna, we also see a scene of Solana with like the head security guard watching footage of the Ood killing Bartle. And they mention like it's like a thing called red eye, which apparently
they know of,
experienced before.
Right, and Bartle's also taking a hair regrowth formula, which his Ood personal assistant
No, that's
keeps.
That's
Or
Hart.
yeah,
That's
sorry,
Hedlund.
whatever his name was.
Hartle.
Bartle and Hartle?
Hey, it might be.
Halpin. It was Halpin. Halpin is Solana's boss. I guess I don't really know who he was, but he's in charge of this like Ood sales pitch type thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
And he's taking a hair regrowth formula, which is being given to him by his assistant, his like personal Ood.
Ood Sigma, who's actually an important Ood who shows back up again.
Huh.
So, Ood Sigma's the best Ood in the story, let's be honest.
Well, I mean, it's either him or Delta. Like, the other ones... Actually, no, we'll get to my favorite Ood. There was one that was better than either of them. We'll get there.
Okay, so the Ood Delta 50 dies. That's the one that the Doctor and Donna were trying to save. And Donna's like, "What the hell?" And the Doctor's like, "Yeah, actually, what's going on?" He's like, "I encountered the Ood once before." And she's like, "Oh." And he's like, "Ah, long story." And she's like, "Well, we have a long walk." And he's like, "It was the devil."
This isn't right now, but I forget when it was, so I'll just explain it now. The Doctor explains how the Ood are being used as slave labor by the people of the 4126, I think is when this takes place.
They're in the 42nd century.
Yeah, so something like that. And Donna goes like, "Wow, people reinstated slave labor," and the Doctor's like, "It never went away." And
yeah, the Doctor's like, and Donna's like, "Yeah, it did." And the Doctor's like, "Well, who do you think made your clothes?"
Right, which is a point that I always make, not just on this podcast, as I have made it on this podcast before, but to just people in general.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty brutal verbal murdering of Donna right there. Donna just doesn't respond to that because she's like, "Oh, because the Doctor's right."
Yeah, it's true.
So,
but anyway, they eventually make it to this sort of compound where they're producing the Ood, I guess, or storing them or something. Producing them.
Wow, it sounds really bad when you put it like that.
Well, they're not conditioning them, but they are
turning them into servants.
Right.
The Doctor and Donna see like a tour guide group, which is the group of investors that Bartle mentioned earlier to Solana.
Right, and this is being led by Solana as well. She's sort of taking them through the compound, showing them what's up, showing them what the Ood are good for, I guess.
Yeah, so they run up and they're like, "We're Donna and the Doctor representing the Noble Corporation." She's like, "Okay, Miss Doctor and Mrs. Noble." And they're like, No, we're not married.
Again, they're really playing it up for some reason.
To the best of my memory, this is the final time they actually bring it up.
Interesting, I guess.
So they go inside, they get like a packet of information, and they basically get pitched this complete and utter lie by Solana. No, I actually really liked this scene because there's an Ood who gets red eye and is running through the compound because the alarm goes off as they're going inside, and Solana's like, "Oh, that's just like the end of shift alarm."
They try and play off all these alarms like so poorly. They're like, "That's just a standard fire alarm test that goes off at this time every day."
Yeah, every day.
Don't worry.
So there's this Ood running through the compound, and they're like trying to gun it down. And it's like intercut with these scenes of Solana explaining how the Ood are happy at Ood operations and how they treat them like real people. And it's like the Ood are reflections of ourselves, so we should treat them like, we should treat them like we treat ourselves. And then it's like cut to Ood running through the compound being shot at.
Yeah, this is basically the preview from last week. They basically just used this scene as the preview.
Yeah. So, I don't know, I really liked this juxtaposition of the Ood running and getting shot at, and Solana trying to sell them on the fact that they take real good care of their Ood at Ood operations.
Right, and the Ood are a reflection of themselves.
And then the general kind of catches up to the Ood, And he calls it in. And he's like, this isn't red eye. This ood is actually rabbit. And Dr. Ryder, who's like the head scientist, is like, well, that's kind of weird. Then they kill the ood. Well, they don't kill the ood. They capture the ood to interrogate him, I guess.
Right. And the doctor and Donna obviously know something weird is going on here. So...
Yeah, because the doctor... They leave the tour group and they go and they kind of watch the ood being marched towards like the shipping room, I guess. And one of them falls down.
These giant shipping containers. Basically, it's actually like a kind of a shocking scene when they first open that shipping container and it's just packed full of ood, like more than you would think.
Well, they were like, there were parallels between the ood and slavery before, but they make them like really obvious.
They make it really apparent.
Especially
and I'm not
right
sure
now.
I like how much they play it up because I don't know, it just not that subtlety is like necessary, but it's just it's kind of heavy-handed.
Yeah, I'm okay with it, but I agree. The story got a little heavy-handed with it, especially like right now with this scene. One of the ood falls down, and one of the guys pulls out like an actual whip and cracks it to get the ood to stand back up again and just keep marching. Which is like, that's like really difficult to ignore the connection between that and like American slavery, where they would march slaves through, miles and miles and miles, and then if they fall down, you whip them.
The container is, sort of analogous to the Middle Passage, where
the slave ships.
Yeah, slave ships, which are just packed completely full.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm not sure if I even like how much they played this up because it kind of, I don't know, it exoticizes. If you want to go down the route that this is an analog to like American slavery, like the tricontinental slave trade, where slaves would be taken, exclusively from Africa. It like really exoticizes like the slave group, right? Like, because the ood aren't really human. They're not similar to the humans in very many ways. And they're like this exotic and weird out there alien that like you could never understand. And that's like far beyond what the humans are. And I don't know. They also sort of play into the like really exoticized Eastern style philosophy stuff, which is weird also. So, there's more to look into with this story. I'm not going to watch it again because I have more Doctor Who to watch, and this wasn't necessarily one of my favorite stories. I didn't hate it, though. But, I think there's more to say, and I didn't necessarily enjoy a lot of it.
Well, also, they, the ood, they did this in Impossible Planet and Satan Pit, but, the ood are, quote-unquote, born to serve. They're like, the ood want to serve us. Without us, they would just die. They don't have a purpose, which is revealed to be not true at the end of the story. But they try to play that off as slavery is okay because they want to help us, right?
And that was a big justification of slavery in the U.S. at one point.
Yeah, I was gonna say that feels really weird to me. I don't know. It just feels kind of wrong to an extent. I mean, I guess you could make the argument if they want to help us, then it's okay, but
they don't want to help them.
Yeah, they don't want to help them, and also I think the story clearly makes it out that even if they want to help you, that shouldn't be a justification for treating them like actual garbage.
Yeah, no, obviously.
So
I didn't have a problem with that. I mean, again, it's sort of they did it in a heavy-handed way, but I didn't necessarily have a problem with that part.
Yeah, I mean, Doctor Who's always been rather heavy-handed with its.
Not always.
Not always, but most of the time.
But I
think there are more heavy-handed moments than not. In my opinion.
Definitely in the new series.
Well, I think to an extent the classic series tried to shy away from making a lot of those points, except, a lot of the Malcolm Hulk stories were pretty clear analogs to, I guess, contemporary events would be the word. And also Sarah Jane in Monster of Peladon just going on a 2-minute speech about how feminism is great. Never going to let that go, by the way, because that's the most heavy-handed Doctor Who has ever gotten.
I disagree with that because I think the Two Doctors is the most heavy-handed it's ever gotten.
With the blood licking?
Yes.
I mean, that's close.
I think it far surpasses.
But Sarah Jane's is they're saying exactly what they're trying to allude to, whereas at least in the Two Doctors, they don't come out and outright say it, right? In my opinion, that's what makes Sarah Jane's more egregious.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, but anyway, we'll just move on in this episode because there's still a lot more to discuss.
The Doctor and Donna are standing on this platform, and the Watch is the the Ood gets whipped. And as I was going to say before we got into this whole conversation, they kind of make it out the reason why the doctor's staying right now, even though he didn't know anything was going suspicious right at the beginning, except for the circle needing to be broken, said he feels kind of bad for not being able to save the Ood in Impossible Planet and Satan Pit. Because he tells Donna he didn't have time to save the Ood, he had to let them die. He feels kind of bad about that. So he's like, well, let's find out what's going on here. Maybe we can make a difference, Donna. This was apparently supposed to be episode 2 instead of Fires of Pompeii, but then they swapped them. I don't know why they swapped them. And I actually almost think this would have worked better as episode 2 because Donna has that crisis of faith later in the story and wants to go home. And I think that makes, after Fires of Pompeii, where she literally sees Pompeii get burned and she convinces the doctor to save someone, and she sees that the doctor is a good person who wants to save people even when the chances are slim to none, the crisis of faith that Donna has in the story makes less sense. Which I'm only bringing up now because the doctor's mentioning how he felt bad about not saving the Ood, and Donna's like, wow, you're a good person, doctor.
Well, she says that she thought the universe was like a good place overall, and she's like realizing that that's not the case. Mm-hmm. And this is her first adventure in space, so, or like off of Earth.
So the doctor and Donna, well, they go spelunking. But first I think Halpin and Ryder go to visit this mysterious room, and you don't know what's in the room, but Halpin's like, oh, I've never been here since I was a kid with when my dad took me. It was the last time I was in here.
Yeah.
And they go in, and you don't see what's in there, but Ryder, like, pours his hair tonic all over it, and it, like, screams at him, and his, quote, hair tonic, unquote.
Yeah. So the doctor and Donna sort of go to where they're keeping the Ood in the containers, and this is when they see the container full of Ood.
Container full of newly birthed Ood.
Yeah, no, this is the ones that are ready for shipping. When they see them in the cages a little later on, because they have that like sort of chase sequence thing in the container maze.
Wasn't that after?
There's another scene afterwards where, what's his face, the head guard guy, I don't know if he had a name, like, it's like, I've always wanted to do this, and he takes the crane and like...
Yeah, that was after. Because then Solana stops him, and then they capture him, and then Donna yells at them because their brains are born in their hand, and they're literally chopping their brains off. And she finds that out before because they see them in the cage first.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. So, I think they see them in the container,
Pretty
and then
sure
I don't
about
know.
this.
I mean, it doesn't matter. The order doesn't matter. So then they somehow get to like this scene where the Ood are like in this cage, and this is when you find out like what the translator ball is. Which is their brain that they hold in their hand. And yeah,
I guess you're right. I guess the chase happens first. I was pretty sure that the cage scene happens first. Okay, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, so the Ood hold their brains in their hands, and the natural Ood, I guess, because these are like the natural Ood. Their quote unquote translator balls, which are their brains, are fleshy, and they're not. They don't glow or anything like that. They're just sort of a brain, but without the wrinkles, I guess.
Well, the brain's not even the translator ball because the doctor says they chop the brains off and put the translator ball in.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess they're literally lobotomizing them, as someone says later.
Mm-hmm. The doctor hears them singing, and he asks Donna if she wants to hear it, and she's like, I don't know. Because the doctor is... They're actually bringing back that thing they introduced way back 50 years ago that the doctor is like mildly psychic.
Yeah, the girl in the fireplace.
Yeah. So the doctor, like, I guess opens Donna's mind a little bit, and she can hear them singing, and she starts crying because it's a sad song because they're singing about how they captured. And she tells the doctor to take it away. Then she asks the doctor if he hears that, and he's like, yes, I hear it all the time, everywhere.
That's gotta suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta wonder how the Ood, like, even survived and evolved and basically stayed alive as a species if they hold their brains in their hands.
Well, the doctor wonders this because he's like, no species would ever evolve to be subservient like this, right? He's like, no species would survive to evolve to just be...
To just be vulnerable, too.
Yeah. So he's like, you have to wonder how they got here. So that's part of the reason why he also goes to investigate, because he's like, clearly something is up here. Well, I mean, somebody's up to something, to quote Isle of Dogs.
Well, in that particular moment, actually, the doctor's wondering why the Ood are being used as slave labor, because he says no race would ever evolve or like to be subservient or whatever. But what I'm wondering actually is how they even got to the point where they have to hold their brains in their hands in the first place. right? That seems like kind of not something you'd
Well, it
want
doesn't
to
seem like
do.
there's any predators on this planet.
I guess, sure.
Or any other creatures at all. This is apparently their home planet, the Ood Sphere.
Yeah.
Which the Doctor at one point mentions is near the Sense Sphere that he's visited, which is a throwback to 50 years ago.
Yeah, Sensorites was one of the best First Doctor stories.
Anyway, yeah, so the chase scene actually happens before that. And I wanted to mention the chase scene because it looks like the head guard inside the crane has just been filmed in like a room with like tinsel taped to the wall, and he's just leaning backwards and forwards.
Well, he's like, I've always wanted to do this, and he like chases them around the sort of maze of containers with the crane.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, what happens, I remember now. You were right. The chase scene happens first, and then the Doctor and Donna are able to escape because all the Ood are turning rabid or red-eye. Yeah. And so they escape and they meet up with Solana, and the Doctor pleads with Solana to let them help. The Doctor knows how to help with the red-eye. Solana thinks about it for a second, then she's like, they're over here, and then the Doctor and Donna run away, and then they encounter the cage of the natural-born Ood.
Yeah. So there's actually this one funny scene with one of the investors where, alarms are going off, the Ood are going crazy, and Solana's like, if everyone could just please exit through the nearest emergency exit, and the guy's like, why would we leave now? Free bar! And then he gets killed by an Ood. Anyway, chaos breaks out.
Chaos reigns over the Ood Operations Center.
People are dying. Left and right, humans, Ood, getting gunned down, killed. And this is where we see my favorite Ood in the story. More so than Ood Sigma, because there's just this one sort of peaceful scene, just a guard walking by. All of a sudden, just this rabid Ood out of nowhere just jumps out and like bites his neck and pushes him down. That was my favorite Ood.
My favorite Ood is still Ood Sigma.
But yeah, we actually see an Ood get like shot in the head really graphically.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff, it kind of reminds me of Dalek. Except even more violent.
There's quite a bit of graphic stuff in the story, especially later with Halpin.
Yeah.
So the Doctor and Donna get captured by the guards, and they get taken to, I guess, the headquarters room where Halpin is, and he's talking with them. The Doctor and Donna talked with the natural-born Ood and told them that Dr. Donna are friends because they want to help, and the Ood listened. Or heard them, or understood.
The Ood in the cage were actually concealing their brains, but when they realized the Doctor and Donna weren't trying to threaten them or anything, they revealed that, they're holding their brains.
And that's how the Doctor realizes they're literally born holding their brains in their hand.
Or at least, before they vomit them out, or like they have to vomit them out or something. I don't know. Not a Ood biologist.
An Oodologist. So the Doctor and Donna are captured by Halpin, and he just says, we're getting out of here, screw this. And
screw you guys, I'm going home.
He's like, I'm just going to go destroy the brain, basically. And they're like, what? He's like, yeah, they'll kill all the Ood. And the Doctor and Donna are like, we don't even know what you're saying.
Yeah, the Doctor actually hypothesizes about this earlier because they call the outside brain the hind brain and the inside brain the forebrain, or maybe it's the other way around, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But the Doctor says that that's not really possible. There needs to be some sort of other brain or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know why that's the case, but that's what he says. So then they go to the massive brain.
Well, Halpin does. The Doctor and Donna get left behind, and 3 Ood come into the room to come kill them.
Oh, yeah,
like, Dr. Donna friends, Dr. Donna friends. And the natural-born Ood, I guess, psychically communicate with the 3 that are going to kill them, and
which is
they stop attacking them. And
yeah, which they shouldn't be able to do based on what we find out in a minute, which is that they've installed a blocking element from the massive interconnecting Ood brain. But they were able to break it because of what What's-His-Face did, and also, I don't know, they're just strong enough to break it now.
Yeah, well, so the Ood attacking the Doctor and Donna stop, and their eyes go white again. They're like, Doctor and Donna, friends. And they release them, and then the Doctor and Donna run out, and the Doctor's like, we gotta go find the thing that everybody's looking for, because there has to be some sort of something controlling something. Oh, Solana gets killed.
Not. Oh yeah, Solana gets killed.
This was like the most...
But I mean, who really cared about Solana?
This scene was like so out of nowhere. I almost felt bad for her because she's running away from everything, and then she just turns around while she's running, and there's an Ood just standing there, and he just puts the orb against her head and kills her right then and then. I'm like, wow.
You do what you gotta do. You Ood what you gotta Ood.
Not quite.
So they get to the Ood brain. And it is just a giant brain with a circle of equipment around it, and this is the circle that needs to be broken.
Yeah, Donald realizes that this is the circle, and the doc's like, yeah, you're
Full
right.
circle. No.
God, can we not remember Full Circle? Wasn't that the one that introduced Adric?
Yeah, it was.
We've come full circle.
Can't go 2 weeks without mentioning Adric.
Yeah, well, he was memorable for all the wrong
he's
reasons.
still the worst companion in all of Doctor Who, so...
Yeah, pretty much.
Turns out that the Ood not only have their own 2 brains, but they have a brain that connects all of them.
Yeah, the third brain. The doc's like, that's the third brain. That makes sense. And...
Duh, the third brain!
Halpin sent off Ood Sigma to go join his people, but Ood Sigma comes back and he's like, have a drink. Well, okay, so then Dr. Ryder reveals
that he's been sabotaging the operation the entire time because he's part of a...
We forgot to mention the Ood interrogation scene.
I don't even remember that.
Where they like interrogating the rabid Ood and they're like, what's going on? And he's not telling them anything. They're like, okay, this is kind of weird. And then Halpin tells the guards to kill the Ood so that Dr. Ryder can perform a post-mortem to understand why the Ood's gone rabid.
Sure. Yeah. All right.
The only point of that scene is to show how Halpin is kind of a dick.
Yeah. Well, Ryder reveals that he's part of the Friends of the Ood, which is a organization that tries to help the Ood.
Mm-hmm.
And that he set the circle, I guess, to the lowest possible setting that it could have, so it's blocking the Ood from communicating with each other to the least capacity that it's able to do.
Yeah.
And Ood Sigma also reveals that it's not hair tonic that Halpin's been drinking the entire time.
Well, he reveals that after Halpin just throws Ryder into the brain.
Halpin pushes Ryder into the Ood brain. He's like the Ood so much, why don't you become one of them?
Well, so yeah, the circle is like a dampening field, the doctor says. It's like damping the telekinetic powers. And then Halpin explains that they found the big brain underneath like the ice cap 200 years ago.
Right.
When they first started selling Ood, I guess. And so they brought the brain there and then set up the dampening field so that the Ood wouldn't be able to communicate with the central brain. And then Ood Sigma's like, have a drink, sir. And Halpin's like, what? He's like, have a drink, sir. Halpin's like, no, I don't think I need hair tonic right now. And then the doctor realizes what's going on. He's like, ah.
Yeah, Halpin also starts to feel really bad, and he realizes that Ood Sigma he asks Ood Sigma if it's been poisoning him.
And Ood Sigma's like, we're not allowed to kill.
The doctor actually says at the beginning of the story, it's not it's a he. We also didn't mention they introduced like a new Ood setting, I guess, which isn't part of the natural Ood like anatomy, but like you can set the Ood voice to male or female or like a comedy voice.
I didn't get the joke the comedy voice told either. Everybody started laughing, and I was like, that went way over my head.
I mean, it was just the Ood going, don't, like Homer Simpson or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
not
it.
Really funny.
Yeah, it wasn't that funny, but it was there. It's an option if you want it.
All the investors bust out laughing.
But yeah, so Ood Sigma has been feeding Halpin distilled Ood juice. I didn't really get what this was, but...
Neither did I, but I went along with it.
Yeah, it's basically a liquid that turns him into Ood. And you see his head peel off.
Yeah, that was... I felt really uncomfortable during that scene.
And the Ood tentacles just come out of his mouth.
I felt really uncomfortable during this scene.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. He turns into an Ood, and then to top it all off, he vomits out an Ood brain.
Yeah, at that point I was like,
slimy. Those stories you hear of people like vomiting out their like kidney or like the aorta or something.
No. Stop right there. No, this conversation is done. I am not down with vomiting anything out, let alone internal organs. So that's going to be a hard no.
Jesus. And Halpin's like, oh God.
And the doctor's like, oh. The doctor explains that the break in the psychic barrier manifested itself in the Ood differently, and it like manifested anger as the rabid Ood, and it manifested, I don't know what he says, but like annoyance or irritation as red eye, but it manifested in Ood Sigma as patience.
Yeah.
Like revenge in the Ood manifested itself in different ways, I think. Is what he says, or something like that.
Anyway, Ood Sigma gives the doctor permission to flip off the switch controlling the circle, which he does, connecting the Ood again.
Yeah, the Doctor says it because Ryder set the field to the minimum, and because it's been 200 years, the Ood have learned to adapt, so that's why the psychic field is breaking now. And
yeah.
So the Doctor turns off the field, and all the Ood can sing now. All the Ood stop being rabid and killing people, and they all just join together in song.
The guards that are left just gun them all down, and no.
The guards that are left bail.
Yeah, you hear the Ood song, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the first appearance of apparently some important singer who sings like the song that plays when the 10th Doctor dies.
Huh.
Regenerates.
Still haven't gotten the song for 10 back yet.
Yeah, so. Somehow I don't know if that's coming back.
I mean, why did they write the entire song?
Donna's theme in this episode, which is like the fun little... It plays when they're in the TARDIS at the beginning of the story.
I didn't notice it. I mean, this is the first appearance of it, so you wouldn't recognize it as a recurring piece of music.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even remember what it sounded like.
Yeah, I can't really hum it to you right now, but I always recognize it when I see it. It's pretty recognizable once you know once you realize that it's her theme.
Yeah, you also get like a little bit, just like a second of the Bad Wolf song, like as the Doctor's about to leave.
Yeah, I got chastised for calling it the Bad Wolf theme.
What?
Someone commented on our YouTube videos. Thank you, by the way. I don't remember your name. He was like, it's actually just called the Doctor's theme and not the Bad Wolf theme because it always plays like when the Doctor's doing mysterious things and not just when there's a Bad Wolf motif. And I was like, yeah, it's easier to call it the Bad Wolf theme.
Well, I mean, it originally appeared, I think, as part of the Bad Wolf plot, right? It only showed up when they were mentioning Bad Wolf, but then they sort of just started using it as the Doctor being mysterious or whatever. Yeah. So I guess it's evolved into the Doctor's theme.
I think on the soundtrack it's just called the Doctor's theme.
But it's there. It's for a split second at the end because now we get sort of a little epilogue type thing where a bunch of Ood are standing near the TARDIS out in the snowfield. They thank the Doctor and Donna and tell them how they're going to be passed down as legends among the Ood.
Yeah.
Which is, again, a little weird, a little uncomfortable there, but, whatever.
I mean, actually thinking about it, I had a lot of problems with Caecilius and his family, like, deifying the Doctor last week. But I'm actually realizing that this series is a lot more clever than I thought it was originally in regards to the Doctor being deified and how the 10th Doctor dies. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but I'm realizing that Russell T is actually foreshadowing the Doctor's God complex at the end of the 10th Doctor's run, like, really cleverly through all of this.
Wow, people deifying the Doctor and telling him he's going to be worshipped. How clever.
No, but, like... When you get to the end, you'll see, especially when Ood Sigma says your song has to end soon, the Doctor, and the Doctor's like, wait, what?
Yeah, I really like how they're doing this. There's just little lines. They did this last week, too, with Something on Your Back with Donna. There's, like, these cryptic lines of dialogue, and then they're like, wait, what? And they're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, the season is, like, being really... I really like the foreshadowing they're doing in this season with all of this. With Ood Sigma saying, oh, your song's going to end soon. And Donna with the soothsayer last week saying, oh, there's something on your back. Obviously, the 10th Doctor doesn't die until the end of the special, so it's not quite at the end of the season, but clearly Russell T's already thinking out, like, how it's going to work and how it's going to play out. And also he's thinking through the whole, like, plot of the whole series with there's something on your back, Donna. And with the Rose appearance in Partners in Crime. It all comes together. Trust me on this, It all comes together.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people out there say that Series 4 is the best of David Tennant's run, I guess.
I mean, it definitely is to me, in my opinion.
And the preview for next week actually shows us that we're getting Martha.
Yeah, the preview for next week is the worst one, I think. I think it's the worst one for the series so far because it spoils, like, all of the reveals in the next episode.
The first thing you see in the preview is the Martha on the phone going, Doctor, it's me, Martha.
Yeah, and then you get all of these cool battle scenes and fights, and then the one guy's like, my name is General Strax of the Sontaran Fleet, and you're like, damn, what?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I mean, it's a two-parter next week, and the second part is called the Sontaran Stratagem, but, like, the names, the Poison Sky and the Sontaran Stratagem don't seem related, right? So you wouldn't assume it to be a two-parter, so, like, you could still do a big Sontaran reveal in the Poison Sky, but now you've gone and completely buggered it up with a preview for next week.
Classic. Oh, well, I'm not surprised at this point. They've only done, like, one or two good previews, so...
Yeah. Anyway, so...
I mean, it wouldn't even be that bad if they put them after the credits. Oh, we didn't mention that the Series 4 credits are like reduced by half, basically. They're only 30 seconds now as opposed to, like, I think how they were before, which is 1 minute, which isn't really a big deal, so is why we haven't
It's
pointed
kind
out
of a big deal, but
now.
they cut out the middle 8 now, so as far as I know. Or they do when Matt Smith's run starts, because the middle 8 doesn't play during the credits anymore because it's too long to fit into the credits because they cut them down. Also, Donna resolves her crisis of faith at the end of the story. The doctor asks her if she still wants to travel with him because Donna had been saying, like, oh, the universe is evil and everything. But she realizes that that's why the doctor is there. He goes around and he fixes things. To quote my favorite line of Meglos, he sees the universe. He sees the threads of the universe and mends them when they break. And so Donna decides to stay, and the doctor and Donna go into the TARDIS, and they actually dematerialize, but you don't see where they're going. So you could slot stories in between this story and next if you wanted to. Pretty easily.
Sure.
I think Big Finish does. They did 3 Dr. Donna audios, which I own, which I haven't listened to yet.
Nice.
Got good reviews though. So.
But yeah, overall, I mean, not one of my favorite stories. I didn't think it was bad.
No, I think the story was. I think it was good.
I think it was good.
But I think overall inconsequential. I think.
It just, I mean, the main reason I didn't like it is because I felt it got a little heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm. I feel like
There's
it definitely
cool parts in it. I mean, the maybe some of the action could have been toned down. There's a lot in the middle, which is just sort of gunfights and shootouts and Ood running around killing people, which is fine, I guess. It's fine.
Yeah, that's probably why it feels a little inconsequential to me, because there was a lot of action, and you know, when you have a lot of action like that during the action sequences, you're not getting a lot of character development, right? It's difficult to do action while you're doing character development.
Right.
Not impossible, it's just difficult.
Yeah, I oftentimes when there's action in TV shows or movies, I kind of just zone it out, and you know, I know what's going on there, but like, you know, when the sort of action scene resolves or when it comes to an end, I'm like, all right, now it's time to like really start paying attention again.
I mean, you can definitely do character development during an action sequence. I know I mentioned Person of Interest a lot on all of our podcasts, but I really like that show. But like one of the finales is like a 10-minute action sequence, but during the action sequence, while everybody's fighting around them, this one character and this other character have like this really touching moment that's like actually really important to the story, and it's like a combination of the previous 4 seasons of like character development. So I mean, you can do it. The Doctor Who, I don't think has necessarily ever done it well, if they've even tried. But yeah, so this story was like a lot of action and running around and fighting, and during that, you know, the action doesn't really move the plot forward in this story. It's just there to break up the flow, I guess.
I mean, it does to the extent that you see the Ood are finally revolting.
Yeah. And I think the general even calls it like a full-on revolt. Oh, they kill the general. We forgot to mention they had this plan to like gas the Ood to kill them all, but then the Ood escape and they lock the general in the room where the gas is, and he gets gassed and dies.
Yep.
So that was kind of brutal. But yeah, Halpin's plan was like to blow up the brain and also gas all the Oods. So he just said he was going to wipe out the livestock, and the doctor's like, what the hell? Anyway, that's all I wanted to say on the story.
Yeah.
You can email us at thedoctor@decadentvegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on the Ood.
Would you buy an Ood if they were available
for
in
50
your
credits?
Region?
5 more credits for the voice changing option.
Jesus.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Google Play at Trust Your Doctor. You can find us on YouTube at Decorative Vegetable. Be sure to leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next time we're watching The Poison Sky and the Sontaran Stratagem. But until then, the end.